Airbnb seems to be, let me hear if I can hit this correctly, under pressure. Should someone be getting into vacation rentals for the first time be concerned about these changes? So if this is the first time they're hearing that, New York is targeting short-term rentals, and same with Dallas in my home state of Texas. They've also kicked them out of Dallas. So should we be concerned?
Yeah, so I always stay away from the area. Well, at least let's say I've learned to stay away from the area that so many people are flocking to. So there have been many articles out there that will say like the top 10 vacation rental destinations. By the time that area has made it to the top 10 list, it's a little too late for you to now jump in the game, right? Then these areas start to become saturated. And I mean, there's pros and there's cons of being in a saturated market. But the scary part of being in a saturated market, especially if you're in a city like New York City or Dallas or Atlanta, where there's also so many hotels, then you're up against these hotels, right? And I believe they have a lot more power than these, properties owned by like me or you, people like us who can get like a second home rental. And so that's what we're up against. And then you have the cities that might make last minute changes. So one thing, if you're looking to get into the vacation rental market, I would always suggest to go to a place that already has restrictions in place. Like they might say, you have to pay this amount of money per year. You have these rules in place. You can't have more than 4 cars in the driveway. I know it might sound annoying, but at least they already have their stuff put in place. There are other places that have nothing in place, and they might be big cities. And then before you know it, they're cracking down because there's too many bad things going on, like too many complaints, people taking advantage. Maybe there's not enough rentals for locals. And then that's when you get yourself into trouble. And then, they can just shut you down and, you just put all this money, all of your investment into this property, and you can lose it like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And what do you think about, or would you recommend partnering with someone just so I can get my feet wet on my first few deals?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, I just did a partnership, and even though it's my mom, it still counts. And yeah, she knew that I started working with other clients and finding them vacation rentals. So she told me, if you come up with these properties that you're analyzing and your client is not interested, then just let me know. And so anyways, I knew at that point that she wanted a vacation rental. So I actually happened to be in Nashville for a conference, a real estate conference, specifically for short-term rentals. And when I went there, I was networking with some people, and I networked with this one realtor from Branson, Missouri. And I made a comment that I love Branson, Missouri, and that I have this thing for A-frames. Anyway, she showed me this mini resort of A-frames, and that was a deal that I was highly interested in. So I called my mom up right away, and I was like, Mom, remember you said you wanted me to find you a vacation rental? Would you be interested in actually partnering instead with this property? And she was like, absolutely. So I definitely would say if at least one person is really experienced, right? Like I wouldn't suggest to partner up with someone where it's your first time and it's that person's first time and you just figure like, let's just throw some money together. No, you want to partner up with someone who has experience, who knows what they're doing. And so because we had already done multiple deals, we had already been in this for a few years, and she was comfortable enough, partnering up with us. And that might mean for the person, if you're not the experienced person, that might mean that you're putting more of the down payment. That means that you might be putting a little, work in other ways, but it still would be worth it to learn alongside an experienced investor.
Potentially sensitive question, he said ominously. I know this is your mom, but do you recommend involving a lawyer in this process?
I guess that would be good. No, I didn't, but my mom's also a CPA. So my mom knows a lot of the laws involved, and she has been our accountant. She does our bookkeeping for the other properties. So that's why I didn't go the route of getting a lawyer.
I'm glad I didn't break any families up. And I think for the people at home, I think a build up to the $1 million question, quite possibly, quite literally, how do you turn a profit?
Yeah. So I would say you have to, people say that you make the money when you buy, right? And it couldn't be more true. You can't rush into deals if it's a short-term rental or if it's a long-term rental, right? And sometimes, when you're not from that area, for example, I live in New Jersey. If I see a property that's like half the value of what it would be here, I might be thinking, oh, wow, that's a really good deal. Like, let me just throw an offer out here. It would be easy to rent this out. I know people who have done that too, and then they can't rent it out, or then, depending on the area, the rent is not that much. So you have to do all this analysis ahead of time. And there's many tools to do it, for you to calculate what the rent is, for you to be able to calculate what regular expenses are in order to see if it makes sense. There's certain formulas to check ahead of time, like there's something called 1% rule or 2% rule, and that might tell you real quick, like if it makes sense to buy this property at that point. For us, even, as experienced investors, investing in New Jersey didn't make sense to us. And I know people are still investing in New Jersey, but for us, it didn't make sense. So it's whatever is comfortable for you. Again, what are you looking for? You looking for appreciation, or are you looking for cash flow? So yeah, running your numbers is definitely the necessity. Like, you just have to do it in order to make sure you feel confident that you will be making a profit. And then also know ahead of time, what is your goal? Like, are you like, for me personally, I need to make sure that I get my investment back within 2 to 3 years. Other people, they didn't even calculate that. So they might be having a property for 10, 15 years before they even get their initial investment back. So these are the things that you have to think about before you put that offer in.
This is The Wrap. Please tell them where they can learn more about you and how to run their numbers.
Yeah, so I'm mostly active on Instagram. You can reach me at She Runs the Numbers if you want to send me a message. If you want to talk real estate, Midwest. I could always refer to you, realtors or lenders, or any questions in between.
What the? This piece of